I woke up and had breakfast at the hostel and then headed to Southbank on the tube, where I crossed London Bridge and kind of walked around for a while and got my bearings. I found the Globe, I found Millennium Bridge, and then I went and checked out St. Paul's Cathedral. It was a little too expensive for me to go in, and also they wouldn't allow photographs anyway. So I just kind of walked through the gardens, thinking about Mary Poppins the whole time. Then I spent most of the morning at the Tate Modern, which is basically a modern art museum, which I loved. There was a lot of surrealism, like Picasso and all those people, and also some really cool video installations, which were like my favorite things. Then I went on a tour of the Globe, which, by the way, is not the original Globe. It was remade to be an exact replica of basically what they think the original Globe would have looked like. It's also not quite in the same spot because the old one is underneath another historical building, so they can't dig it up. But I went to the spot where that was as well. And then I walked over to Tower Bridge, where I crossed and then went to the Tower of London. I took a Yeoman Warden tour, which is given by the guys, which are affectionately called the Beefeaters, apparently. They lived there, and he told us that you have to like serve for 23 years and all these different things. But yeah, they live there with their families, and they are the Yeoman Wardens of the Tower of London, and it's pretty cool. He told us all about the executions that went on there, and then I visited the Bloody Tower and all that good fun stuff. Also went and looked at the crown jewels, of course, but you can't film in there, so. And then lastly, I went up in the White Tower. The White Tower is one of the oldest tourist attractions that still exists, basically. They used to house their armor there and show it off to people, and that's basically still what they do. So that was crazy. They had armor for little kids, and armor for giant people, and armor for horses, and it was just crazy. And then I thought I would have some fish and chips for dinner, and honestly, they were the most subpar fish and chips I've ever had in my life. But I had to eat them because I needed to get to the National Theater to see King Lear, which was sort of the highlight of this trip, and it did not disappoint. It was, despite the fact that I was exhausted, it was so good, and I didn't know the story that well, so it was really interesting to watch in that regard as well. Totally worth the money that I spent on it. For those of you who don't know, the reason that I wanted to see a show at the National Theater, specifically the Olivier Theater, is because a couple years ago I went to a showing of the National Theater Live at my local movie theater of a production of Frankenstein, which is easily still one of my favorite theater production pieces of art I've ever seen, and it wasn't even live theater, so ever since I'd wanted to go and see the theater for myself. But yeah, the show was amazing, and definitely a bucket list type thing.